Okay, we will kick off. So, I hope everybody's doing well. I'm sorry that I have been missing in action these last couple weeks. I did have coronavirus. Technically, I still do have coronavirus, but I am feeling much better, which is good. So I know that some of you temporarily didn't have access to our training videos last week, and they are live. They are back up and running. If you didn't see my post, there was an old card on file, and we were up for our annual renewal, and it did not renew because it was an old card. So in any event, if you weren't able to view a video last week, you can certainly view it now. It was viewable as of the end of last week, so something to know and pay attention to. If you haven't noticed already, the basic training in the Ion Success tool has been adjusted. The steps, although it may look very familiar to you, you have your help at the top, your steps 1 through 5, your miscellaneous at the bottom. They have been reorganized. The information, the videos within have been reorganized. New content has been added to the basic training. So for just a moment, I'll do a screen share here, and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay. Let me just share my screen with all of you. Present. Okay. So, open. In the Ion Success tool, if you go to RE Investment Funding, Basic Training, you will see, when it loads, you will see the same setup, but you'll notice that there are items in bold and say new next to them, right? So it's very easy for you to take a look. These include some of the presentations that you've seen over the last few weeks. You just go ahead and click and launch, and you'll be able to view the tutorial. There is one aspect that is not yet live that will be live tomorrow, and that's framing your first call, which is really talking about scripts, as well as in addition to the scripts itself, which if you go to scripts under RE Investment Funding, you'll see here, this is going to be adjusted as well, so you have access to that. So it's consistent with what you've been seeing in the recent months' coaching calls. You now have access to it. You can go ahead and launch it. You do have the full slide presentation. So some of it, I do believe, has audio, and we can go back and add some wherever we see fit. But they're pretty self-explanatory in that regard. Some things that we want you to pay attention to, and this goes for, here, let me just stop presenting. And this goes for all of you that are, here, let me pull up the email just a sec, are new, and of course some of the old as well. You want to reorganize the way that we're thinking, right? The way that we're going about the training, and really what you should be focusing on. So I have an email of a back and forth between Christopher and I, but basically some things that you want to pay attention to right out of the gate is how to set up a lead funnel, how to set an appointment, how to run a consultation, what our loan program basics are, elements of a quote. These are the things that we need to understand out of the gate. Now, when people come into the program, and this is just basic human behavior, none of us are above it, but you tend to deem what's necessary on your own, what you want to work on, what you don't want to work on, right? And you just kind of go. But what happens is you're missing pieces. You can't connect all the dots, and so a breakdown begins to happen, right? And so you get confused, and it's not working. You can't figure out why. It's because you're not following the proper steps. So we've taken a harder look, and much thanks to Christopher Van Buren for the work he's put in here, the extra content that he's created, and the guidance in helping us adjust a bit more as he's live on right on the ground floor, right? So these are the things we need to focus on, right? Once we've focused on these things, only then do we start talking about various loan scenarios, right? Only then do we start talking about script presentation, the questions, the qualifying questions that we're asking. We need to check these boxes, right? Now, Gerald Phillips, David Lewis are going to be very helpful in this regard. So for any of you that are having difficulty trying to understand what you should be focusing on now, right? What are the boxes you need to check to be set up and have things running properly, right? Those are the guys you go to, right? If you're having trouble, you're submitting applications, but your clients aren't qualified. Those are the guys you should be talking to, right? Gerald for mindset, David for real estate investment funding, right? And topics surrounding that, even business funding, right? They will help you get on the right track. When you're submitting good data, that is when you work with your team leader. So you have a good file to work on, a good applicant. You can talk to them on the phone. You can pitch them a quote. We can actually get towards making money, right? But if we just selectively kind of pick one or two training videos, then we talk to somebody who's got a scenario for you that they want to talk about a type of loan or a type of property they have, and then we want to try and push that through and give the ultimate customer service. That's not how loan brokering is done. That's not how it works. You're not going to convert, right? So for those of you who've been a bit frustrated, go back to the basics. Restructure yourselves so that you're following the correct order of operations so that you can get to a place where you're succeeding. For those of you that are new, pay attention to what I'm saying here. Utilize the assets around you in order to get to a place to where you need to be so that right out of the gate, you're effective, you're getting good qualified leads in, right? We're able to work those and have a good potential chance of funding. Otherwise, you're just going to spin your wheels, okay? This is very, very important stuff. We will be pushing this narrative with all of you, and we will be supporting all of you, ensuring that you get on the correct track. So hear what I'm saying here. Go back to the basic training, take a look at the new content, and ask questions. Ask questions, right? Very important. Leadership team, do you guys have anything to add in this regard?
No, I think that's right on point. So, ideally, what we wanted to give everybody is that feeling out the gate of exactly what you need to be focusing on at the right time. So this way you can have more confidence because the more confidence you have in what you deliver, the easier it's going to be to start converting some of your clients. So, we're laying it out. We're giving you the information based off the feedback that I've heard from affiliates, maybe not understanding, maybe the product word is a little confusing. So we're breaking down all those elements in a way that you can digest them. Understand your job is not to try to wow people with everything you know. It's to find out what their needs are and then come back and present alternatives that answer those needs. So kind of look at it in two folds. It's not like you need to know the world on the phone call. You need to understand what they're trying to do and then impact on them that I will get you your solutions within the next day or so.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so it's very important that we get on the same page, everybody. It's very important that you ask questions, right? And it's important that you do things the way we are teaching you, the way it's laid out in the training, that you follow the narrative we're presenting here. Because if you don't, you will not succeed. It's just that simple. It's our model is proven, it's working, and those that follow it are making money right now. So if you want to make money, you've got to catch on to this wavelength, right? If you want to be a successful broker and run your own business one day, you've got to listen to what we're saying here and get to the advanced level to learn how to work your own deals, underwrite your own deals, work your own clients, talk to them so that you have the whole of it, because otherwise you're just dependent on somebody else to do it for you, right? And that's not the end result here. Now, maybe some of you say, that's enough. I'm happy to collect whatever my commission split is and let someone else do it. And maybe that works for you as supplemental income. And that's okay, right? But for those of you who are really looking to make a gig of this, right, it's very important that you understand the whole of it, right? So there's steps to this, but you got to follow it, right? And even if you're one of those who just simply want to hand off to a dedicated processor or whatever, that's all good and well, but you need to learn the lessons, the valuable lessons, in order to qualify your clients up front, to underwrite the files that come in initially and know whether this is worth your time. Because the thing that separates brokers who are making money from brokers who are just spinning their wheels is decision making on how you spend your time. It's everything. And if you can't read the information that's coming in, if you can't understand what you're dealing with or ascertain what you're dealing with based on the information that's coming in from the client verbally, in writing, in a document form, on the application, whatever it is, and you just think that by simply getting the docs in from somebody, now you have a good chance of funding, you're just going to spin your wheels. You're not going to go anywhere. You need to make sure that you understand this stuff so that the only files that are coming in are good ones. Therefore, you have a much better chance of funding. We have people here close a deal once a month, once every other month. We have people here that are closing 5-6 deals in a month. Right? We've even had someone close almost 10 deals in a month. I mean, it's what you make of it, you know, and it comes down to catching on to this wavelength that we're trying to communicate. So with that being said, leadership team, any other further iteration? Anybody have any questions?
No, I was just going to kind of stress the importance of being able to pre-qualify and, like you're saying, to make sure that good files are coming in. And that's something I can definitely help with. And if you guys are having problems, you know, reach out to me. You know, I'd be happy to answer questions. If I don't know the answer, I'll find out. So I know who to go to find the answer, and I'll say I'm not the perfect guru of everything with loans and everything, but I know where to find the answers. So, but it's really important to be able to qualify your prospects and making sure that we're getting the right applications coming in, because otherwise you're spinning your AE's wheels, you're spinning the lender's wheels, and, you know, going after something that, you know, maybe the deal or the prospect doesn't qualify. So if you are having any issues or anything like that, reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help.
Terrific. Thanks, David. Thank you. Gerald, from a mindset point of view, can you add a little bit more here as to the way we want to be thinking?
Right. When you first start out, guys, the main thing you want to do is stick to the basics. Stick to the basics. You have to crawl before you walk, and you have to walk before you run. That's the order it has to go in. If you're kicking the can down the road, so to speak, and, you know, you're constantly talking to people that really don't qualify, then maybe let's look at, you know, the fishing pond that you're fishing in. Maybe it's dried up. Maybe it's not the right pond. These are all things that we can look at, and it all plays into mindset and actually execution. Don't pigeonhole yourself into one area. Follow the information that's out there. There's certain areas right now, real estate investing is really hot. Some areas not so much. Will that change? I don't know. It's a data-driven industry, guys. You have to look at what's out there. And if you have any questions about, you know, how can I change the way I'm looking at things, I'm just like David. I'm here to help. I'm not going to tell you to do something that I wouldn't do myself. We're in this together, and we have to behave that way. Does that make any sense to anybody?
Certainly does to me, Gerald.
So at the end of the day, you know, your success is directly tied to ours. So we want you to succeed.
Indeed. Well said, Gerald. Well said. Thank you. Very, very important. And mindset is everything as a broker. High highs, low lows. It's part of the struggle, right? And until you catch on to the wavelength that I keep trying to describe to you, to where you have consistent and good data coming in, you're properly qualifying, and until you reach that point, you are going to have struggles. You are going to get frustrated at times. And so you need to have the right mindset, because if you're not focused on the right things, and if you're inherently focused on the emotional aspect, you're further delaying success. You're just spinning your wheels. You need to focus on the right things. And this is the difference between a successful salesperson and a person who's just having a really hard time generating money. We have to get out of our own way. And it sounds like common sense right up until the point where you're frustrated. And then common sense goes right out the window and you're focused on the negative, right? And Gerald could go on for hours explaining to you how the human brain works, why we inherently we think negatively, right? What 90-10 rule, right, Gerald? And that's to keep ourselves alive, right? That's the animal instinct, right? But you have to turn that around. You cannot, as a salesperson, you cannot be thinking negatively 90% of the time. You need to start thinking positively. You need to start thinking about what you can do to improve your situation, your outreach, your process, your script, whatever it is, right? All of the time, right? That's where your head needs to be. You can't be focused on what's going on with your existing deal. And, oh no, it's not going to fund. You need to keep marching forward, keep your funnel active and moving forward, keep the deals coming in so that you're never depending on another deal. It's great if Bob wants $1 million and I can't wait for that deal with Bob to fund, right? But then what happens 3 weeks down the line when it doesn't fund? Then you get all upset. Oh, it didn't work out. This doesn't work. I'm frustrated. It's because you put all your chips in one basket. You can't do that. You need to have 10 other deals just like it. So Bob didn't work out. Who cares? I got Sam, Dick, and Larry just ready to go, right? They all want money too, right? And it's that consistency, right? And that volume that ensures that you're making money, right? Nobody knows that better than Christopher Van Buren. Right? Just steady money coming in constantly closing deals, right? Never gets hung up on one file. I don't think I've ever heard Christopher complain about a single file, ever. He just keeps marching forward. If one slips through the cracks, bye-bye, that's okay. I got 20 more just like it, right? That's the way we need to think.
And the chime off of that, by having a pipeline, one, I always had stuff closing, but I'm tenacious. So just because a deal doesn't work out this time with that lender, for whatever reason it blows up, I know I have enough skills and I have enough rapport with my clients. Hey, this didn't work with that company, but we're not done yet. Give me, I already have the solution. I just need the time to implement it. So literally, I've closed deals that, it died a month or two before, but I'm closing it 60 days later. I try not to do that, but sometimes things happen. But being the fact that we're a broker and we have so many different outlets, just because I have run into a brick wall with one lender doesn't mean that every lender is going to hit me with that brick wall. And if I know what the brick wall is ahead of time, I know how to repackage the deal to take it to another lender where I won't hit that wall again. So I'm always constantly learning, but I'm never tied to the single outcome. I'm tied to the overall process. And that's how you have to kind of change your thinking. I'm not tied to the one, I'm tied to the whole, but I'm going to work each one of them to my best ability. Sometimes a deal's just not going to work. And I have to be okay with saying, you know what, it's not, the timing wasn't right, but I'm going to earn your respect and I will earn your business again another day.
Absolutely. Well said, Christopher. And so you've been able to just understand how to do all this overnight. It was just that easy. So you just woke up and suddenly you know what to do with every single file. You know how to get these things across the finish line. Is that how it worked, or did it take you time? Did it take you a lot of trial and error to get to that point?
It was trial and error. It's learning the nuances, learning what a bank looks for, understanding the aha moment, and not repeating that mistake. So it is trial by fire in the sense that, look, if a kid, they know if they stick their hand in the fire, they're not going to do it the second time. So which is what life is. We learn from our past experiences and we get better. We get more proficient at it as we do it over and over again. And our conversations even change where I know what to look for, so I know what to ask for. But until you do that repetitively, it's a skill set that's learned over time, not mastered out the gate.
Absolutely. And that's why there's validity here in our program. We're the real deal because we tell you how it is. We show you how it works, and it's consistent with what we all know to be true in life, right? So anybody that comes here and just thinks, it's easy, it's all going to work, right? I sign up and now just open up the floodgates, the money just comes pouring in, right? It's unrealistic. It's just unrealistic. It's not rocket science, Okay, it's not rocket science, not too overcomplicated, but it does take some time. It does take some work. You have to go through some trial and error. But if you are willing to put in that time investment, like in any other facet of life, in any other education, in any other career path, if you're willing to do these things, you will be successful here at Ion. And you will expedite your journey to success as a broker because you're learning from those who are actively doing it, making money, as opposed to just trying to figure it out on your own, right? So utilize the training you have, utilize the support you have, listen to what we're presenting to you here. You will find success, some sooner than others, but as long as you're communicating, as long as you're doing the work, as long as you're completing the training, right, and you're following the steps, you will find your path to success. So thank you, everybody, for chiming in here. What I'd like to do is open up some Q&A here. I'm going to give you a chance to ask any questions that any of you may have. And if nobody has questions, I am going to start calling on people. So now's your chance to leave the call before I call on you.
And Ryan, if I
yeah.
could real quick,
Yeah.
And I'm sure almost everybody's probably heard this more than once before, but the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting a different result.
Absolutely.
So if you're sitting there spinning your wheels, doing your, doing your lead generation, doing your outreach, doing your prospecting and stuff, and you're not getting anything, reach out to your AE, reach out to me, Gerald, anybody, and figure out, what do you need to do differently to get things going and get things actually moving. If you're doing the work every day, it should be coming. So, the only real difference is, maybe there's a slight little tweak or something like that, either your AE or me or Gerald or somebody can help you out with. But, if you're doing the work, it should be coming.
Absolutely. Data-informed decisions, everybody. Data-informed decisions. If you're doing the work, you're tracking your performance and what you're working on, we should be able to take that information and it will point us in the right direction towards success. If you're not doing the work, if you're not tracking the information, how can we help you? We just simply can't. Very, very, very important piece of information for all of you there. Right? So if you're looking at your client list and tracker, if you're looking at your milestones, you're wondering why you want to do that, it's because without that, how can we help you? How can we move you forward? We can't. Right? So.
No, okay. I was just going to say on that note, I know what we've been recommending, or one of the new recommendations we're going to be making, is that, especially for the email campaign, is that you guys have to spend some money and automate that process, because literally your response rates increase with the number of times you do outreach. And if you're only doing your emails manually one at a time and not consistently have a system set up where emails are going out to your customers multiple times during the month to spark engagement, you're going to have a hard time. If you're waiting for that one email to make it happen, you're going to sit around a long time. It's the consistency of doing that. So looking into a mix match, a GMAS, you have to invest in the tools that are going to make your business better. It's going to take the weight off of you, so you're not doing as many things manually, and be able to convert that time that you would be doing manual tasks into income producing tasks, which is qualifying people, setting up consults, and following up with your warmer prospects. So if you're scared to spend a couple of bucks, you're gonna have a harder road. It's gonna take you longer to get to the finish line. So invest in yourself, look at the tools that we recommend, and find the right systems that work for you.
Absolutely. And we're talking about minimal costs here, people. I mean, first of all, you're running a business. You're working for yourself, right? So you're going to have costs, right? And the biggest cost in brokering is buying leads. And with us, you're learning how not to do that. You never have to buy leads again, right? So you're cutting out a huge, major cost. My old firm, we've spent like $25,000 a month on leads. I mean, it's ridiculous how expensive leads can be. So don't worry about that, right? The costs are very minimal, right? We're talking about Duck Soup, Sales Navigator, Mixmax, right? Between all of these things, it's a little over $100 a month. It's so cost effective. It's ridiculous to use some of these tools. You'll be talking to so many more people, right? And with funding deals at a small cost like that won't hurt your ROI. You'll be fine, right? A lot of you have been able to make your money back on your first closed deal that you invested in the program. So it's unrealistic to believe that you're going to have 100% ROI. I mean, nobody does. I know Gavin and I certainly don't with our business. I mean, it costs money to play. That's the way it works. But very, very low minimal costs. There are trials. So if you're thinking, well, hey, I just got here. I don't really want to take on that cost. Well, that's fine. You can get a free trial for a month, or a few weeks, a week, whatever it is they're offering, depending on what you're choosing. And you don't even have to worry about that. Right? That upfront cost. You can get the ball rolling and see why these tools are so heavily used, why we recommend them. Because, I mean, it's all about volume. Volume. The more outreach you're doing, the more people you're talking to, the better chance you have of funding deals as long as you're properly qualifying. Right? It's just that simple. Right? So very, very important. This is in the training. The links are in the training. You can learn more about it. And feel free to experiment. If you think you have a better avenue, something that's more cost effective, give it a try. Heck, even let us know about it. But from what we've seen, from what we've been able to ascertain from the tools that we've used, those are the tools you want to go for. And it's the most cost effective way of going about it because the costs are extremely minimal. So with that being said, I'd like to open it up to questions. Does anybody have any questions about what we've been talking about today, or any other questions about the training, anything we can help with? And if nobody cues the mic, I will start calling on you.
Okay, I have a question. This is Irma Morrison.
Hi, Irma. How are you?
I'm well. How are you? Sorry to hear you're sick, but I'm glad you're doing better.
Oh, thank you. I am. Thanks for asking.
No problem. So I put this in the chat, and I'm still trying to get used to how to follow these chats. So forgive me sometimes.
No
I'm a
worries.
little slow with all of this, but I was wondering, I sent this to Chris and he sent me 2 forms. So this customer just kind of popped in this morning looking for some information, but he has an ITIN number, which that kind of threw me off. I was like, uh-oh, something new.
An IPIN number, and he just threw that at you out of the gate?
Yeah, so he's a foreign
He's a
national.
foreign
He holds... I'm listening. Sorry, guys.
Was that in the background, or did somebody cue the mic to say something?
No, that was my little guy. Sorry.
Oh,
Go
no,
ahead.
that's
I think
okay.
Chris is saying something.
That's okay. To tell you the truth, I'm not exactly sure what that is without looking it up. Christopher, does that stand out to you? IPIN?
Basically, he was a foreign investor, and he has
Oh,
internet.
yes.
So he doesn't have a social security number. He has
Right.
immigration. I mean, anytime you see some of those codes that are government codes, you can literally put them in Google search, and it'll tell you the definition. But he's not a citizen, and because he's not a citizen, to get him qualified is going to be extra steps because he's not a citizen here. But he did give you good information. He does have a U.S. corporation. He has some LLCs. But in order to track a portfolio, I need a lot more information to evaluate the entire portfolio, which is why I sent you the questionnaire and that rent roll. For these type of deals, it's all about the numbers. So I need a questionnaire filled out, and I need a breakdown of all 27 properties to see what those numbers look like for the banks to say this meets their guidelines. They might not accept all 27 properties. I won't know that until I see that data. So that's like basically it's doing 27 loans. So I need a lot more information to make sure the whole package makes sense.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I did look it up, as in the fact that he's not, U.S. citizen with the credit stuff. But that was my question. Like, in an event, you get even somebody looking for a one property that has a company here. Like, how do you go about doing that? I just want to understand that. That's all.
Right off the bat, I'll tell you that don't let the client drive the narrative of what we need. Right? Stick to your qualifying questions, stick to the application, gather that information, and then your team leader will help you ascertain whether or not it's something you want to focus on, right? Through the experience of learning the subtle nuances surrounding that client, that type of client, you will learn for the next time around to keep an eye out for that. So the next time somebody comes at you with that information, oh, we can do that, oh, we can't do that. And if we can do it, here's what I need, right? So The great thing about brokering is with enough volume, it's just experience and going through enough scenarios to where you've basically seen them all. And the lender lets you know what they want to see, right? So what happens a lot of time with new brokers is they kind of follow the scenario of what the client presents. The client just starts throwing things at you because they know that you're going to want certain information. And it just creates issues. So the best thing they can do is just simply fill out the application, let us know about the property they have, their liquidity, right? We want to see their bank statements, whatever it is. They check the same boxes everybody else does. And if they're a foreign national, we need X, Y, and Z. Your team leader will let you know who that is. If it's a portfolio, we're going to need to see those properties, whatever it is, right? If it's an equipment deal, we're going to need a list of the equipment, right? Or invoices, or what if it's factoring, whatever it is. But we will help you ascertain that. The lender will help you ascertain that. So don't feel intimidated like you need to know everything, you know? It's just everybody checks the same boxes in the beginning. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes perfect sense. And I did call them. I got the basic information while I was waiting on Chris to email me back. And once I got Chris' information, I reached back out to him and tell him just a little bit more information. And I'm willing to get on the phone and get it from him. So. But it was good. It was a new twist, so.
That's good. And you helped other people here learn about that. So thank you for that. And all of you will encounter foreign investors. There are a lot of foreign investors that do business here in the United States. There are certain things that we need, and you will learn that along the way, right? So no worries there. Thank you. Good topic.
But Irma, on top of that, but now looking at the questionnaire and then looking at that rent roll statement, do you see how much information the lender's requiring?
Yes, I did.
So do you understand how that's not as basic? Oh, it's $1.7 million. That means nothing.
Yeah.
It's like,
right.
I literally need to know, well, how many tenants you have? How many properties
right.
you buy? What's your taxes? What's your mortgage balance? I need a
right.
lot of detail in order to make an informed decision. So the little
right.
paragraph he gave me was nice. It gave me enough to know that he's serious. Now
right.
more in-depth detail. But you don't need that on every deal. So that's why a lot of the stuff we do is deal specific, and we don't hit you with it all up front because it's like you don't need to know it until you need to know it.
Right. That makes sense. Thanks, Christopher.
That's a great scenario there for everybody to learn from. Does that answer all your questions, Irma?
Yes, that does.
Terrific. Good luck with that deal, Irma.
Thanks.
You're welcome. So absolutely. And while we're talking about portfolio deals or even large commercial deals, one of the things you want to focus on is bread and butter versus the big special deals, right? The ones that take a long time, right? We had a portfolio deal that took 6 months to flesh itself out, right? And although it sounded grandiose in the beginning, in the end, it wasn't as much as we thought it would be, right? And so it's a tremendous amount of work and waiting for something to pay off. Now, still a good payday, right? But you have to consider, right? If you spin your wheels on something like that in the end doesn't pay a whole lot considering the time investment, was it really worth it, right? Is it maybe better to focus on bread and butter where you can get a deal done quicker that takes less time, less work? You need to figure that out for yourselves. But sometimes it's very easy to get caught up in millions, right? Hundreds of properties, portfolio, commercial, right? Whatever it is. And you hear that and you're like, oh man, here we go. And I pull out my calculator and okay, what's $8 million times 1 point or 2 points or whatever. That means I'm going to earn this commission. Oh, I'm all excited. And it's great. And that serves to encourage us, but it also can send us down a path that we don't want to go on, path that may lead to no money at all, a path that may lead to false expectations, and therefore we get upset or frustrated when it doesn't work out, and that can deter us, right, from maybe focusing on something else that will go through, that will make us money, right? That will deter us from staying consistently filling up our funnel or whatever. Or maybe that'll make us believe or give us a false sense of security where I have this big giant deal that's going to fund, so I don't need to work. I'm going to go, hang out with my friends, go play a game, right? Go read a book, go to the movies with the kids, right? Or whatever. You decide you don't want to work because you have this big deal that's definitely going to fund or whatever it is. And you need to realize that you cannot set yourself up for a fall like that. It happens to the best of us. No, it certainly happened to me. And so very, very important lesson to be learned here, because you will encounter that, David, you have 2 cents on this?
Yeah, I was gonna say it's kind of like having tunnel vision. You get that one deal, it looks huge, and all you can do is focus on that. And just like you're saying, I'm just kind of giving a different spin on it. But it's all you can do is focus on that. It's kind of like, okay, where's my deal going? And come to find out, you do all this work 6 months later, and it's like, oh, okay, well. Yes, it's still a win. We're still funding a deal, but it's not what it was.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. We cannot get emotionally connected to our deals. We cannot allow ourselves to buy into these deals and believe that it is what it is and it's going to pay this or whatever. It's not over till the fat lady sings, right? And that's when the commission check comes in, when the deal funds, right? So until then, you have to remain detached from the deal and continue to march forward and keep looking for that next deal, that next client, that next customer. And when you do that and you just keep marching forward, it just doesn't really matter what happens with any given deal, because inevitably those that were meant to fund will fund. The amount that it was meant to go out the door, the amount that was meant to go out the door will go out. The amount that's paid is what will be paid, and that's it, right? And any preconceived notion of what you believe could have happened or should have happened doesn't mean anything. It just serves to sidetrack you, frustrate you, right? So got to be strong, got to have mental fortitude here, right? And Gerald talks about being a mindset all day long, and I encourage all of you to engage there, because this is exactly how it relates to the business. This is exactly how it relates to making money. These are the challenges you will face, and if you can be smart, you can learn how to avoid obstacles like this and not pay attention to them. You can learn how to have the right mindset. They will not deter you from success. Very, very important part of being a broker. Very important. We need to be mentally strong as brokers, and it goes beyond common sense. You need to invest time and energy into it. So great question there. Great topic. So anybody else have any other questions?
Just segueing over to bread and butter deals, on the new template that was created for our email blast, it was kind of updated. It shows that the purchase loan to cost is like to 95% now. The interest rate starting at 8.25. Our product board is still showing 90, and the interest rate at 7.25. Is that just on the template for, I guess, maybe a starting point, so that way if it came in less than that, or is that actually what our lenders are loaning at?
Starting point. You don't have any you don't know any actual number until the deal's submitted. So I always tell people, go low, have a higher range when you're just doing an exploratory call. When you're serious and you commit to giving me the information and commit to moving forward, I can get you more detailed information, because it literally changes. Yeah, I can go as high as 95, but if you're a brand new investor, you're not even in that ballpark. You know what I mean? So understand your product board is to give you kind of guidance. It's accurate for most lenders. There are some lenders that will go a little bit further. If you notice on a lot of the Facebook groups, you got a couple of guys that are, promoting 100% financing and all the stuff like that. So all I did was put a teaser about a higher LTC, but it's a teaser. It's not, everything's really just to get someone on the phone. So advertising is just meant to build, attract attention, and then I want to get you on the phone. And then once I see what your deal is, then we can get into the finer nuts and bolts of it. Don't use the product board. Don't even use the email as the gospel. It's a range. It gives you capacity, potential that we can do. Until we get hard data, it's impossible to say, well, it's going to be exactly this until you get more data. So again, these are our guidelines. It gives you ranges, so you're familiar with what's out there in the marketplace. You'll get the right answer for that client once you know what that client profile is.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And that makes perfect sense. For me, it's more about clarification on my end, because when I talk to a person, I try my darndest not to give them any numbers. I want to get them on the phone. I want to get their qualifying information and then get an application. I'll say, we can get a lot more specific if we can get you a quote. But for me, I was just curious if what was in the email was where our lenders were starting at, or if what's on the product board is truly where they're starting out at like 7.25. That's from my knowledge, not for the client.
Right.
So I was just trying to clarify.
All right, so this is the easiest way of thinking about it. Just like if you saw a car commercial, I see the new Chevy Equinox or the new Tesla, and they're like, you can get this car for $300 a month with $4,500 down in the fine print. But if you go to the fine print, the call to action is that's subject to their most qualified client that's probably had cars before, has an 800 FICO score. There's always these lists of caveats. It's a teaser to catch my attention. Ooh, that looks interesting. And so it's more meant to spark a conversation. Rates range so much depending on, and I did that in the training when I said, there's a silver league, a gold league, a platinum league. And each one of those variables have different subsets, and it can affect how low your scores are. So rates are a fluctuating thing. So it's really hard. Rates are never decided until the end, but more lenders are within the ranges that are in the product board, and then what we put in the email fall within those ranges. We just got to see if the client qualifies for where they lay in that range.
Perfect. Thank you for that.
Absolutely. Well said, Christopher. Great question. Crystal, and you're handling it exactly right with the client, right? And trying to give them no numbers at all, or the least amount possible. And that makes total sense. And the way, just to elaborate here, the way we want to look at it is, let's say we put out a marketing email and we're saying 5%, right? Sure. Every client's going to go wild for it. Oh man, you guys offer 5%? I'm in. Here, what do you need? You need these stocks? Great. But then when they don't get that rate, they're frustrated, they're upset, they reject it, right? Because their hopes were too high. And when reality brought them back down to ground, they no longer want to work with us, right? Now we've just created a monster client because they're going to go around believing that 5% exists, right? The unicorn exists, and they're going to be a problem for every client that they deal with. We've all encountered clients like that before, right? Say, oh, I can get you like 8-9% roughly, whatever it is. Oh my God, that's astronomical, blah, blah, blah. Somebody allowed that client to believe that alternative funding offers something that's so far below that what we're asking for is astronomical, and it's unrealistic. You have an unrealistic client. You shouldn't immediately jump to the conclusion that our lender sucks, right? That our products aren't good, that we're not competitive. Consider that the person you're talking to just has unrealistic expectations, right? And at the end of the day, we're not a bank, right? It's very important. Now, on the opposite side, and Christopher, I saw you cue your mic, so I'll let you chime in a sec. But if we look at the other side of the spectrum and we put our rates a little too high, sure, that might be the average rate because the average client doesn't have a ton of experience, doesn't have a ton of liquidity, doesn't have the best credit, wants a property that's rural or that's borderline or not a lot of money or whatever. That might not be attractive to the client. They may not like that rate, so they might not even respond. So we find a healthy medium, but that's it. And then nothing's cookie cutter. Nobody just walks in and everyone gets the same rate. It doesn't work like that. It's just, there's so many factors that weigh in to what it's actually going to be. So the correct answer, it's not smoke and mirrors, but the correct answer is truly, right? We don't know. We need to understand what your unique situation is and what they're willing to offer. And we have so many different lenders. It's different, so that's the truth of it, right? And helping the client understand that and just being candid with them, they'll want to work with you because you're just being honest with them. You're explaining to them how it all works, as opposed to somebody else who says, yeah, everybody else's rates suck, mine are the best, sign up with me, right? And then they just never work with you past quote because you didn't deliver on the fake rate you were pushing to begin with. So more context there. Christopher, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, I just want to chime in on what Crystal on like kind of product board. But if she remembers, last week we had a guy that asked for a quote. I gave him a quote, and then he came back with, oh well, this bank offers this and this bank offers that. And then when I double checked it, remember I wound up breaking down the nuance. Yeah, they let's say a no season requirement, but the no season requirement came with a heavy, had a whole different parameter to get approved. So yes, there at the end of the day, my quote was more accurate with where he was based off his scenario. But what he heard out in the marketplace, he was under the impression that, hey, I can close on the house and sell it tomorrow and sell it at full market price. And that wasn't the reality. Even with the banks that he quoted that he knew about already, he didn't really understand the process. And so that's the same thing when you're looking at these product boards. We're giving you a guideline, a roadmap of where it could be. But as Ryan alluded to, we have to be detailed. And the only way we get detailed is really honing in on that customer and then crafting the solution that based off of your parameters, this is what's offered to you. And then we can kind of give and take. And then what's your pain point? And then it's selling the pain point. I rarely ever sell rates. I'm always selling solutions. Like, okay, well, what were you trying to do? Why are you working with me? Why are you still looking? Like, there's some additional psychology that goes beyond the 9 questions. It's really, what is this person trying to do? How they're trying to grow their business. We're in the first quarter of 2021. How many deals did you guys do last year? And then being armed with that information and saying, well, working with me, I can show you how, what if I can get you, if you did 8 last year, what if I can get you up to 12? How would that change your business? And so I'm literally crafting my solution to what they're trying to go. What is their end goal? Is this their first project? Their first project, you want somebody that's going to be able to hold your hand throughout the entire process. It's not about the rate. You want someone who can tell you what to look out for and has your best interest at heart. I'm that person. And so it's not about the rate in that way. So I can give you a 15% rate. It doesn't matter if I built the confidence within that, look, I'm guiding you through the process. You're spending a little bit more money right now. And I'm going to tell you that. But as you get more seasoned, I'm going to be able to provide you with better rates, better terms. This is the path to get to a novice investor, to an experienced investor, to a super seasoned investor. It's all a process. I can guide you and help you build your business that way. So again, these are some of the little nuances that go beyond the basic questioning, but literally the framing of what we're here for. We are solution providers. And if you start giving your message as I'm gonna provide you with solutions, you won't get caught and hooked up on, oh, well, it's 7.25, it's this, it's that. It doesn't matter. Your rate, your terms will be yours based off your guidelines. I'm going to just give you the best options available where I'm going to help you guide you through that process. And that's really our mindset that we need to be with our people.
Guys and girls, that is exactly what it sounds like. Go back and watch this recording. Listen to what he said 10 times over. That is how you talk to a client. That is how you handle the client. You push back. You correct the thinking of the client. You lead. You control the narrative, right? We assume going into it that the clients, what are your rates, right? Every client does that. What are your rates? What are your rates? They think that they're sharp. They're a tough customer. What are your rates, right? They think they know what they're talking about. They don't. They don't. And we assume, right, oh, well, I need to answer that question. That's a tough objection because I need to get past that and blah, blah, blah. You're letting the client lead. You're letting the client drive the narrative. You're going about it all the wrong way. Christopher is seasoned. He understands, no. That's not how it works. Let me explain this to you. First of all, how many exits did you have last year? How experienced are you? How much cash do you have in the bank? Do you have a property lined up? Who are you? Right? So you want the best rates. Let me explain to you how you get the best rates. This is how it works. They're going to listen. They're going to follow because clearly he knows what he's talking about. He's been there before. This is not the first call he's had, right? As opposed to somebody, we offer 8%. You don't like 8%? Okay, we offer 7%. It's clear to the client that you don't know what you're saying, right? You're not comfortable, right? And they're not going to work with you. They're not going to follow your lead, right? It's imperative that we take those steps, that we correct the way of thinking. I don't know about you guys, but I was sold in just listening to Christopher. And I want to work with Christopher because clearly he knows what he's talking about. He knows what it takes. He's not impressed by me. He's not listening to me. He's not following my lead. He doesn't need my business. That's exactly who I need to work with. He's talking about how to improve my team, how to take us to the next level, how to get us to better pricing. Sounds good to me. I'm all in. Let's take a look. And they forget all about their question, what's your rates? You know, that's what it sounds like. So I think that's a good place to end the call. I encourage you guys to go back and listen to that again. David, I see you're uncuing the mic there. I'll give you a chance to chime in a second. But I want you to go back, write that down, think about what Christopher was saying there, what the premise was there, what the narrative was there, how he handled that objection in several different ways. Very, very, very important. Because if you can do just what he did right there, 9 times out of 10, you're going to win the client's confidence, right? It's all about perception, how we perceive the situation, how the client perceives the situation. They think that it's this. You got to teach them that it's not this, it's that, right? And by doing that, you win their confidence because they realize they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're talking about. You do. And they need you to get to the next level, right? David?
Yeah, just to kind of bridge the gap between where Christopher was and where Ryan was. Christopher saying he's got solutions. Where does Ryan go? If you all paid attention, Ryan started pre-qualifying them. So that's the importance of pre-qualifying. So when, your client sits there and starts going, well, this rate and this rate, I can get this rate, start pre-qualifying them right there. Help them forget that question. Help them forget about that. Start pre-qualifying them and tell them, hey, you got solutions for them, but you're only going to get solutions for pre-qualified, to make sure that they're worthy of even, going through and getting that good rate or anything. So that was kind of the bridging gap between, yours and Chris's conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you, David. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, everybody. That's gonna do it for this week's call. I will post the recording in the group. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask in the comments section of the recording in the Facebook group, and we'll take it from there. Next week, we will likely have some presentations to walk you through, some new stuff that I'm sure we'll add to the training. Advanced training is coming very soon. I do apologize for not having it live for you guys here in January. COVID-19 threw me for a spin, so we got to deal with, but at the end of the day, we're moving forward here. So thank you, everybody. We will catch you on next week's call.
Bye, everybody.
See you guys.
Thanks, guys.